Hello everyone, and welcome back to part 3 of my Crash Bandicoot n.sane Trilogy 100% walkthrough, where here we're moving on to the third island, also known as Cortex Island. So here goes the first level of machinery. Now this is a point where the difficulty actually does start to increase. However, it's not actually the hardest levels yet. I'd say they start to come when you get to the high road. Although I will say that some of the levels are actually a lot harder I actually find than in the originals. Like for example, Generator Room seems a bit more challenging now. I don't know why this is, but it just seems to have been more tricky to complete and get a gem on now. Which is of course another one of them levels that you actually can't die, so. Because of course it is a coloured gem which we will be using in upstream to go back for the crates that we couldn't get, so. I'm not entirely too sure, guys, how long this part's going to be, or when I'm going to complete this part. I'm going to try to get to Lights Out, which is just after Slippery Climb, but I definitely don't, as I said in my part 1 of my Let's Play Spyro Reignited Trilogy, I don't like to make these videos too long. I like to keep them around 25 minutes or under. Although let's say my last part of this Crash Bandicoot n.sane Trilogy walkthrough comes to 27 minutes. Which frustratingly took an hour to upload, and it also took about 2 hours to render, so hence why I want to keep my videos shorter. So here goes the Tana bonus round. Which basically has like a bounce pattern to all the boxes. Which I'm actually quite impressed they actually did that. I'm actually quite happy that Vicarious Vision decided to make the change so that you only need to bounce on these bouncy boxes 5 times now, as opposed to 10. It doesn't exactly take from the game, it just makes it easier to, well, it takes less time. So instead of doing 10 bounces, you only need to do 5 now, so. Although you still get 2 apples out of it every time you bounce, so. Nothing's really messed up with it, but I'd say it's more of an improvement than something that they screwed up on. So now we should get into invincibility. Yep. This is a bit that actually frustrates me. When you get invincibility on that part, you always end up bouncing back up, and I would much prefer it doesn't do that, because that is actually wasting invincibility time. So here goes another brioche bonus round, or brio bonus round, sorry. Brioche bonus round, that's like, that's trying to say that brio's a, some kind of burger bun. I meant brio bonus round. Now this is a tricky part of the bonus round, because you actually blind off the screen, so you have to like get your jumping right, so it's sort of blind, so you can't exactly see what you're doing here. So I'd say this is the hardest brio bonus round, apart from the one in Stormy Ascent. However, I managed to actually complete it first time, which is actually very, very, very rarely happens with me, guys, so I mean, just. So now we are approaching the end of the level, which just gets me 3 more of these 1-up crates, which are absolutely no use at all because I've already got the 99 lives, so that's not going to benefit at all. So here we go, another gem. That's 8 gems now, and I think my completion's at about 50%, if I'm correct. 48%, there we go. I think you get 1% for the gems and 2% for completing the levels. Not too sure. Anyway, moving on to Cortex Power now. Which is actually a level I actually do really like. Especially, I mean, just look at this opening cutscene here. It's like a small cinematic, but... And of course, let invincibility run out, then I can start it new again. Because if he was to hit another Echo Echo box while you've got invincibility, it doesn't exactly restart it like it does in some of the later Crash games like Crash Warped. So you're better off letting it run out, and then you can totally renew your invincibility. Speaking of Cortex Power, that is I'd say that is the hardest level to backtrack. I'd say it's the most frustrating level to backtrack, it's the most tedious level to backtrack, so... Which is what we're doing, probably the last thing, so... I can't say that I'm exactly looking forward to that one. So of course I missed 25 boxes, because of course you need the blue gem from Toxic Waste. And here we are now in Generator Room, which has actually always been like one of my favourite levels in the game. Actually, it's just unique because there's actually no other levels that use this same sort of design. Thankfully, there isn't a Brio bonus round in this level. And of course, this is this platform here where once it goes, it does not pop back up, so you've got to get that one. Get all the crates you can first time before it goes down, or then you've got to bounce on them, which is can be pretty tricky. So here we go, we're now into the doing the bonus round already. So I love this like little scene they put at the end of the bonus rounds now, where Dr. Neo Cortex actually just goes and takes Torna as you approach the end. That's actually a pretty nice change, I will admit. I'd say the trickiest part of this level is actually these like moving platforms here, because if you get them out of alignment once, you're dead. And then you got to restart the level, because obviously you got to collect a colour gem from this level, which still in n.sane Trilogy you're not allowed to die. Especially like the design they've done in this level as well, like the work they've done here with these TV screens and everything in this room like looks radioactive, so this is like one of the most interesting like boiler / generator rooms I've actually ever seen. From the exception of Boiler Room of Doom from Crash to Insanity, which is actually a pretty awesome level. I used to think that was actually the longest level in Insanity, but it's actually Classroom Chaos. So now we're on to another level that's actually unique, which is one of a kind, which is Toxic Waste. Which I always found challenging as a kid. However, this, I actually find it a fun level now. And it's actually quite visually pleasing as well, like the glowing of the goo in the down each side, and not too hard until you get to the bouncing barrels, which you've got to get your timing right for. Like here. And another thing I've noticed, the actual bouncing barrels actually come sooner now, so in the previous game you used to be able to jump to that TNT crate long before the bouncing barrel comes. Now you've got to actually race to that TNT crate before the bouncing barrel actually gets to you, so eek. There we go. That was close. And also another thing, if a bouncing barrel hits you, it can actually knock you to one side, so that will result in a death. And that is not actually something that I like, guys, where it puts you in the... And how did I not get hit there? That was very fortunate. So now I believe we are moving on to our next boss, which is of course Pinstripe Potteroo. Which is actually a pretty easy boss, I will actually say. You've just got to get the timing right and actually know the patterns of where he's going to shoot and when he's going to block. From the exception of where sometimes he doesn't actually defend himself, Crash, and you've got to... and you actually end up getting hit. Frustratingly. So you've got to go for him when he's reloading, which, if you're familiar to the battle, should not be too hard to do. And probably taking the last blow was actually the easiest part of the boss, so. I actually love the ending animation now to Pinstripe, how he knocks the light down and actually knocks him out. Whereas previously he just taking the windows out. But now here comes trouble. It's of course got to be the high road, hasn't it? Which, unlike Road to Nowhere, which even though it looks very similar, is a lot harder in difficulty. So please expect me to die a few times on this, because this is indeed quite a challenging level. And of course I get myself hurt already. The most challenging part to the level is actually bouncing on these turtles right here, because you have to get the jumps precise, otherwise you fall. Because if you jump on them too soon, you won't jump far enough. Like there, I only just made it. And if you jump too far, you're going to miss them and you're just going to fall straight down. So you can actually complete the level by running along ropes. But I actually find that a bit more tricky, because you've got to get it precise, and you see, it's just close call after close call after close call, this level. Whoa, that was weird. That was strange. I've never had that happen to me yet. I don't think I should have spun that away somehow. Neither that one, because I did not notice that one of them panels were actually broken. Although I did still make it. And of course the fun begins when all the hugs start appearing. So. And more turtle bouncing that requires precision. Which is actually usually the part where I end up screwing up on, and I just have screwed up on, so. So I've actually got to do this super accurate turtle bouncing again, so. Which I usually get right the second time, because this is of course one of the harder bonus rounds, which of course it had to be. Okay. You guys probably just don't know how grateful I am actually right now for them actually making it so that you actually are allowed to actually die in this level. Which you previously wasn't. Imagine if you weren't allowed a death in the bonus round as well, that'd be absolute hell. Nice. Fortunately though, they did turn that wooden bouncy box into a steel bouncy box, so you don't have to spin jump it to get to get all the crates, so that's actually quite a relief. And what the heck has happened here? How come I've missed a crate? Where's that then? Where the missed a crate? That is very strange. I've never missed that crate before, so I think we're going to have to go back and actually have a look for that crate. Okay. Okay, so I think I might know where that missing crate actually was. I think it was actually here. Yeah, it were here, it were up there. Because I obviously respawned at the checkpoint last time because I got the, what is it, I obviously fell and died, so I obviously spawned back at that checkpoint. I didn't see that crate, so that's obviously how I missed it. So, it appears that that's where the crate actually was. Which is actually pretty annoying. So obviously I spawned at that previous checkpoint and I didn't see the crate that I actually missed. Which was actually hidden up off the screen, so that's where the crate actually turned out to be. So I had to go back into the level a second time and I've actually managed to get the gem now, so that was a bit of a fail. Speaking of fails, we're now on to slippery climb, so things only just keep getting better. Or more realistically, how can things get any worse? However, saying that, slippery climb is not quite as hard as stormy ascent, so that's actually partly a relief there, so I'd say the hardest part of slippery climb is actually jumping into these windows here to get the crates that are actually hidden in the windows, and you have to jump back down into the moving platforms, so I'd say that that's the hardest part of slippery climb. hardest part of Stormy Ascent, I'd say, is actually jumping on these birds here, especially towards the end, which move horizontally. And also timing these platforms can be pretty tricky. However, 100% precision isn't exactly required, thankfully, unlike in Stormy Ascent. However, I will say one thing, I actually think that actually made Stormy Ascent actually a little bit easier than Slippery Climb, for the simple reason you are actually allowed deaths to get the gem, so. Though I have completed Stormy Ascent before without a death, I will admit that it probably would infuriate a lot of players if you was not allowed a death in Stormy Ascent to collect the gem, because I'm sure a lot of people actually do want to collect the gem, because there are a lot of completionists at the game, even though they're not actually the best of players. So, although it doesn't really matter how good you are at any game, to be fair, that's always one thing to remember, so long as you enjoy it. And if you want to go for 100%, that's entirely your choice, but if you don't, that's fine. If you want to play at leisure, that's totally acceptable. I mean, what's the point in playing a game if you're not going to have fun? So now this is the last stretch of the level right here, which involves bouncing on lots of moving platforms, which, as I previously said, is probably the most hardest and most annoying part of this level. So. I don't know why I wait for the birds to go up, because actually you can actually jump pretty high on them, which is actually a nice thing they actually changed in n.sane Trilogy, because you didn't used to bounce very high on them before. Of course, a tricky Brio bonus round, just like Stormy Ascent, however I wouldn't say it's as hard, this one. Hey, we managed to do it the first go, which is actually pretty rare for the Slippery Climb and Stormy Ascent bonus rounds, guys. I mean, what is it, the Brio bonus rounds. Of course they have to include Brio bonus rounds in probably two of the hardest levels in the whole game. So now hopefully I should be able to complete this without dying now, which is... Although I will say this level is actually a walk in the park compared to the high road. I'd say they made the high road the hardest level in n.sane Trilogy. I'd say it were formerly Sunset Vista and then this. Well, I wouldn't really count Stormy Ascent because you couldn't really access it without a cheat code in the original game. However, I'd say Sunset Vista is absolutely the hardest in the original, especially not being allowed a death. Okay, guys and gals, so this has been part 3 of my Let's Play Crash Bandicoot n.sane Trilogy. I sure hope you enjoyed this part. I'm sure this part's been long enough, so I'll catch you in the next one. And of course, thank you so much for watching.